Hello everyone, welcome back at my next video after half a year. I really apologize to everyone who is actually my follower or friend or somebody who got used to my videos, and now I just got really a huge and long break. But I was not in the mood really, and now with all these political turmoils and situation is quite difficult, but now I just got that mood back to again talk about the English language and something interesting. And I didn't know actually, I was thinking what to start with again after half a year, and I was thinking that we were talking about a lot about vocabulary and then grammar, generally the theory of the grammar. And now I think a lot of people have still a lot of troubles and struggles with using conditionals. What is conditional? Condition is basically, conditional is the sentence which is consists a minimum of two sentences, because there is always some if. And if means that indicates that that's conditional. There are exceptions, but I think that it's not necessary to bother you with all the exceptions in the English language. We have four basic conditionals, so four types of conditionals. And now I just briefly go through all of them. I don't want to be long now in this video, because for many people it's confusing and it's quite difficult part, but I don't think so. It's illogical. I think it's very logical how they use it, but we have to get used to a different system, different logic, because they always use only this kind of traditional conditional parts of the speech only in one part of the sentence, in one clause of the sentence, in one part of the sentence. So that's maybe confusing, because in other languages we use it in both, and we always add a lot of conditions into all the verbs. In English it's not this case. So the first one, as you can see it, is zero conditional. Zero conditional is basically not a conditional. It's basically a rule of the physics, and we can say that we use it when it's something always true. It's a habit. It's something that we can say that is general truth. It's a habit, general status, something like physical law, which is true because of or mathematics rule law, because we know that it's true all the time. For instance, if you add 2 and 2, you get 4. That's always true because of the mathematics. Or if you heat water to 100 degrees, it boils. What we can actually derive from these sentences is that after if, we always use present simple tense, and in the other part of the sentence, in the other clause, we always use also present simple tense, which means that this conditional is basically the easiest one, because it's always just present simple, but a lot of people make mistakes because they mix it up. But basically this one is the easiest one, and we use it for these situations. Then we have the first conditional, and the first conditional we use for the highly probable and possible situations, likely things in the present or future. So that's for the future and in the present, and we use it in a way and in the formula like after if we use always present simple, and after this kind of if clause we use in the other clause the will plus the base verb. Or some people call it infinitive without to, but that's a base verb basically in English. And when we use it, when something is very, very highly probable, the probability could be from 70% up to 100%, something which we always actually can finish this way if the condition is fulfilled or completed. For instance, if it rains later, we will stay at home. Well, that's highly probable when people actually don't like the rain. So if it rains, we will stay at home, especially when we want to go for a trip or for a forest or something. Then we don't want to really go in the rain. So these first conditionals are used when we are sort of sure that we can handle that or the situation or the event we talk about will happen or will be like that because of the probability. The second conditional is a little bit more difficult because we use it for the impossible things in the present or future, something like unlikely to happen, unlikely things in the future or present, and the conditional is again for the present or future events, so don't mix it up. But of course, this improbability, impossibility, we actually indicate with past tenses. So, for instance, if I had a lot of money, I would travel around the world. We can say that for most of the people on this planet, it's very highly improbable that people will get millionaires just like that when they are not really. Or if they work and if they got a business and everything. So, of course, the probability is much higher. But for the majority of the people, that's not the case. That's not true. Or, for instance, if I won the lottery, I would sail around the world. Again, if we are not gamblers, if we don't really do this stuff on a regular basis, we will actually not sail the world because we will not win the lottery. So these kind of things are always improbable, and or it might happen, but it's the probability or possibility is minimum. Be careful. Well, second conditional we use also in a situations when we want to talk about ourselves, what we would do if, yeah. Or if you talk about some people, if something improbably, physically improbable would happen. For instance, if I were younger, if I were taller, if my mother were younger, if I were you. So all these things you can see, I speak in a second conditional, so with the past simple, because basically these things are impossible to happen. Nobody can be younger, nobody can be older in that moment, nobody can be taller or something like that. So that's why we use always second conditional. So what we can derive from it, after if we use past simple, and after the if clause we use, in this next clause we use a would plus base verb. So always this would indicates that that's the second conditional, which is highly improbable, and it's just like imaginary stuff maybe sometimes. But still, we talk about the present or future things. And then we have a third conditional, which is the most difficult for many people, because the third conditional is already talking, or the events in that conditional are about the past. And the past actually didn't happen because it's just imaginary if something had happened. So it always refers to the past, things which didn't happen, and something like imaginary or imaginary results which would have happened if something. So these things we usually talk about, like if I had never been born, if somebody had never something, yeah? So we can derive from the sentence something like that. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exams. So, of course, that's already impossible to change. Nobody can change the past. Nobody can do anything about the past. So that's why in English language, they really refer to basically past perfect after the if clause, past perfect with had and past participle. And in the second part of the sentence, so in the second, in the clause, we use a would plus have and past participle, or would plus present perfect. So complicated a little bit, like it seems complicated, but it's not, because we have to remember after if clause we use some had and past participle, and the other clause is would have and past participle. Yeah. So we use it for the situations, never ever possible to change, always just about past events. For instance, if I had gone to bed early, I would have caught the train. So probably in the yesterday or in the past happened that I just missed the train, and I just say this sentence: if I had gone to bed early, I would have caught the train. So you can see that the conditionals are basically quite easy when we talk about that in these 10 minutes in this video, but it's difficult to use it in a particular moments, in the particular situations with the correct sentence, correct conditional. But I think that when you watch this video more times, you can actually get it in some kind of logic. Just try to remember all these formulas, how you can see it also around me or how I talk, and just go through the video more times and maybe just try to repeat that. And I think that that's not completely illogical, because there is a pattern of logic. You just get through and revise it more times, and I think basically at the end you can conclude that it's not so difficult. Thank you very much. See you next time.